So, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to give you an update on the Ethan Klein lawsuit situation. For those who don't know, I'll give you a very brief recap. Ethan Klein put out a video that was a content nuke, and it was aimed at Hassan Piker. Now, Hassan's Orbit decided to orchestrate to react to the video as soon as Ethan put it out so that people in Hassan's audience could go and watch it through these other people rather than supporting Ethan Klein himself in the original video. Now, in their videos, they state that that's why they're doing this. They say, if you don't want to support Ethan, if you want to financially support us, then come and watch this. And not only that, but there were messages on Discord and messages on Reddit that were promoting where to go and where to do this. So Ethan Klein has been on the warpath. He's been suing all of them, and he was just approved by a United States court of law to subpoena the records for Reddit and Discord. So that is currently where we're at. Also, Frogan only has a couple days left before she goes into default, which means that she didn't put up any sort of defense. And the judge is basically just going to decide, yeah, okay, well, she didn't contest anything, so we're going to assume what Ethan Klein said is true, and then the judge is going to be able to award damages and all that based on, based on the situation, based on what Ethan's lawyers argue. So it's not looking good for Frogan, and it's not really looking good for any of them. And Mike from PA has been banned on Twitter after making an absolutely ridiculous comment about Jewish people being demons and stuff like that. You can't say that on Twitch. It's just, as anti-Semitic as they are, which they absolutely are, putting on a terrorist supporter like Hassan Piker, and allowing him to say some of the things that he said. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's the current state of things. And we're gonna get more information from Legal Mindset. He's gonna break this down from Frogan to Denims to Reddit to Discord, because very interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting times indeed. And with the subpoenaing of Reddit and Discord, Ethan's going to have access to the names and locations and a lot of other information, IP addresses mostly, of the people that were communicating, and he's going to be able to find who are these people communicating with, when, where, and why. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this all plays out. And ultimately, I think this may be the end of snark type subreddits. And Ethan is breaking new ground in this front.
Now it's the same PP, but I'm going to do it differently and do it kind of special for you guys. So, this is a very special PP because it's live. So let's talk about this. Frogan is literally about to default early next week. What has she done with the 50K she raised? We have not heard from her or her attorney at all. She has like 5 days to respond to our complaint.
So people were originally saying, hey, Ethan, you should let Frogan off the hook because she handled the situation better than anyone else, because she wasn't commenting on it. She wasn't even mentioning it in passing to people. She wasn't talking about this lawsuit at all. And a lot of people were like, well, that's really smart. However, at the same time, she was avoiding being served. And so she would have her family apparently lie to the people trying to deliver the files and say, no, she doesn't live here. And the reality is that you not being served, you can prolong this, but it's not a get out of jail free card. It's not like, oh, I found the magical key. If you can't give me the papers, well, then I can just say I never got them. Well, we tried. We tried to get them to you. We emailed them to you. We had people waiting. Ethan will show, hey, I had people that were waiting at all hours. I had people that were emailing, our lawyers reached out to try to get you these papers, and you didn't accept them. So that is ultimately going to lead to a default. And maybe Frogan is just hoping that she can save some money by not choosing a lawyer. And then the judge will default in her favor. That's not how that works. But maybe she just wants to put all the money towards the final payout. Like, I don't understand. It makes no sense at all why you wouldn't get legal representation, why you wouldn't reach out much, much sooner, and why you wouldn't go to Ethan and be like, Ethan, look, maybe we could work this out. Maybe we could come up with some sort of, mutually beneficial move. I don't know what she's playing here. Maybe she thinks that she's smarter than everyone, or that Ethan's not serious or something. I don't know. But Frogan has responded about the worst. Like, Casey Tron makes videos of herself casting spells on Ethan. So actually, maybe I shouldn't say that. Given the type of people, maybe it's not the worst, but it is still pretty bad. And by the way, I'm not kidding about that either. Casey Tron, apparently between bong hits, recorded a video of herself sitting outside casting a spell on Ethan. Yes, a spell.
Or she loses by default. And this was last night. So it's probably down to 4 days. So after this came from Ethan. So this is from Ethan, right? This was the Snarkers. And this is one of the most legally inaccurate takes. That's one of the most legally inaccurate takes ever. Okay. This is from the Snarkers. Can't wait to see the case dismissed after Fro. What is she like? First of all, who calls her Fro? Like when I hear them call her Fro, it sounds like she's Froyo. Okay. Like I can't not think that she's frozen yogurt. So let's get into this. After Fro files a motion to quash after being improperly served, this dude is such an idiot. He has all of his money and doesn't know what to do with it. So therefore, his quack of a lawyer is just taking it from him. LMAO. This is really funny. Okay, well, first of all, let's correct the record. All lawyers are greedy, money-sucking, soulless.
How could you just talk about the Jewish community? I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Not every lawyer is Jewish. Only 99%. I've known enough people in my life that were lawyers who were Jewish to know that they make Jewish lawyer jokes. Yeah, and all lawyers are conniving, money grubbing. Like, come on, come on, dude.
Quacks. No, they're all crazy in a special way. All lawyers are crazy in a special way. But beyond that, this is procedurally inaccurate and completely wrong. And I'm going to explain how this is just completely wrong. So, first of all, let's explain what a default judgment is. Okay. Default judgment is a court ruling in favor of the plaintiff, typically because the defendant does not file a defense or the defendant doesn't acknowledge the claim. So, if you just want to stick your head in the sand and pretend you don't know what's going on, you're likely going to get a default judgment. Now, there are certain circumstances in which not receiving service is a real thing. However, in this case, Ethan Klein has multiple methods. He can, obviously have what we call hand deliveries when you're hand serviced, but there's also service by publication. So you can publish it in a newspaper of general circulation, and that can generally get back and serve a service. And beyond that, we all know that Frogan knows about this lawsuit. Like, it's not something that Frogan doesn't know about. It's very public. So it's very clear what's going on here to a judge that Frogan is trying to dodge this. Frogan is trying to evade this, right? And Ethan Klein, through this default judgment, this court ruling in favor of the plaintiff, he would win without Frogan ever having a chance to assert defense. So Frogan, even if she gets this default judgment, so even if the court ends up ultimately siding with Ethan Klein and saying, hey, default judgment. And remember, with a default judgment, that isn't a win for Klein. He gets what he wants. So he'll get damages, whatever else he wants, injunctions, removal of the video, whatever he wants. He's going to get that by default. It's just, hey, well, this person is not fighting back. So, okay. And then he can proceed, if she doesn't do anything, she can proceed to collecting on that judgment.
See, the thing is, I think that Ethan, as part of the settlement, I think he's not just going to demand money. I think he's going to demand content. And that'll be an interesting thing. Compelled speech, where you have to issue a public apology. And I think that the courts have done that in the past. They absolutely can compel you to apologize. But that'll be an interesting thing if Ethan is like, yeah, in addition to the money, I demand an apology, a public apology, a sincere apology. Very interesting. I'd be very curious to see what he does in relation to content, because I don't think that it's just going to be about the money. Because for Ethan, I don't think it's just about the money, because I don't think these people have money. I think this is about sending a message more than anything. And yes, he's going to get the money from the GoFundMes. 100%. But I don't think it's just about the money. I think it's about sending a message.
At a certain point. However, Frogi Yogi does have a potential opportunity to challenge the default judgment. And she does that with an objection to the default judgment.
Okay, so from what I know, and I'm not a lawyer, but from what I know, when you challenge the default judgment, you have to be able to prove that you weren't able to react in time due to like some pretty incredible circumstances. Like, for example, you were in the hospital and you were out of communication. There's no way that you could have known. Maybe for Frogan, she, went to the local Dairy Queen and got lost and she was in a fugue state or something. Like, you'd have to have some sort of like concrete, definitive proof that there's no way that you could have responded in time. And we know that that's not true because Frogan does content, and Frogan knows the lawsuit is going on by the very nature of the GoFundMe, which mentions the lawsuit. She knows that she's being sued. So, yeah, it's not going to be an excuse. And also, she's going to have to explain why she doesn't have a lawyer, why that lawyer didn't reach out, why she didn't reach out. Like, she's going to have to go through a whole bunch of stuff.
Judgment, which is a motion to set aside. So she can make a motion to set aside the default judgment. Now, she does need to have a valid excuse, right? So not receiving the claim could be if the service, all types of service, were invalid. But I guarantee you that at least one type of service that they used on this, whether it was, hand delivery or publication or some sort of substitute service, was legally sufficient to provide notice of service or sufficient service to proceed with the case. They're not going to issue the default judgment typically if there was completely bunk service. But the burden would be on Frogi to prove that. And beyond that, you'd have to have something like illness or extreme emergency. And as far as we know, in the Frogan case, Frogan is not in the hospital. Frogan is not under extreme emergency. Frogan was not in a crisis zone, right? She's not somewhere where bad stuff is going down, right? Or she'd have to prove a procedural error, right? However, she has to respond to do this. And that response has to be very prompt and persuasive. So she'd have to do that anyways. So she's going to have to go back, write the court, and explain why she did not respond before, etc. And the judge is not obliged to accept that. The judge can say, I don't accept this. We're still sticking with the default judgment. Now, here's the thing. Here's the biggest thing. And here's where the Snarkers are completely wrong. This is where the Snarkers just are completely stupid. Is even if Frogan objects to the default, and even if the judge grants her motion, if everything goes the same way, you know what the end result is? You know what the end result is? It's not the case being dropped, kids. It's the case proceeding as normal. So if Frogan goes through all this extra work, all she's going to do is have the case proceed as normal. Literally, somebody in the chat said it. Who said it here? Square one. It's back at square one. Congratulations, Frogan. You literally did nothing. You would do all this work for freaking nothing. Wow, Queen. Wow. So smart. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Sigma, right? We're just going crazy here. We're just going crazy. But let's also talk about the money. The money. So here's.
Wait a minute. So she didn't even raise $50,000? She raised 35, or did she have two different fundraisers and one was 15 and one was 35? Because I'm pretty sure he said that she raised $50,000. 35,000 is a good deal of money, but that's not 50 grand.
Our lovely Frogie.
Boo fucking who? American soldiers deserve PTSD. Boo fucking who? I'm going to enjoy this lawsuit more than I probably should. I tell you what, these people are absolutely awful.
And she's got, her legal defense fund at this point at $35K. She also had other donations from other places. So I believe, Ethan's number was around $50K. He's tracking this closer than I am. So let's just assume that Ethan's number was around $50K. He's tracking this closer than I am. So let's just assume that it's $50K,
I don't think he is tracking it that closely. I think he just assumed that it was more than it was. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's across multiple things, but I think she's at 35. Yikes.
No, but she's got at least 35K here. But she had this legal defense fund. And my concern is, what about the money? What did you do with the cash, Frogan? What did you do with the cash? You're clearly not spending all that money on your lawsuit. And so the question is, where is that money going, Frogan? Where?
Legal mindset. I think we all know where that money is going. It's going to McDonald's. It's going to Burger King, KFC. DoorDash.
Where is that money going, Frogan? Is that going to your muffin budget? Because it's certainly not going into responding to the claims, right? Certainly not going to respond to the claims. And what happens if the funds were diverted to purposes other than the prison time? So we need to figure out what's going on with that money. So last night, this was the language last night. Tell me if she changed this language, because I highlighted this, and this is what was up last night, as of last night. Okay. So after 2 years of target harassment campaign against me, Ethan.
So we're going to jump ahead. We've all covered this stuff before, that she decided to put her personal expenses and bills in here arising from the litigation. Like she put her personal stuff, which means her snacks. But this is the real juicy tidbit, which is the court filing for Reddit and Discord.
It's not for any of that. Okay. So that is a situation where she may have some trouble. All right, so let's get into Denims. Let's go deep on Denims, okay? Even though she's disloyal.
Is this Denims? I thought this was...
Here is this discovery matter. It's an order granting a stipulation for the plaintiff, a huge legal battle over fighting the disclosure information. They're just going to do it. They're going to roll care. We have a official subpoena of Discord and Reddit.
Yes. Yes, this is going to be good.
And Discord and Reddit, I'm telling you right now, and I know this, I have friends that are civil litigators. I've seen this in other cases that we've studied, etc. Discord and Reddit are going to turn over all the data. They do not care. They have no dog in the fight to defend these people. None. Zero. They do not care. They do not want to fight, want to go into a huge legal battle over fighting the disclosure information. They're just going to do it. They're going to roll over and do it.
But then also, because some of your cohorts leaked your Discord messages to us, we have some of your Discord IDs. And guess what? We're going to, if anyone's going to have your real identity, it's going to be right there. We're going to have
that's it. Hold on, let's play it one more time.
Messages to us. We have some of your Discord IDs. And guess what? We're going to, if anyone's going to have your real identity, it's going to be right there. We're going to have all your messages. Discord. And listen, don't try to erase them. If you erase them now, it's not going to look good.
You guys remember that? You guys remember what that is? Now, obstruction, it can't be obstruction, but spoliation of evidence. That is exactly right. You guys in the class paying attention. So let's continue. Let's play the rest of this.
And you should know that I'll still get them even if you erase them. Because the companies hold.
Yeah, they don't really delete that stuff.
Yeah, and then that, so I'm getting it, So you can erase, you can run, you can cry, you can piss, you can bitch, but I'm coming. And you're about to find out what happens when you a stranger. And
there it is.
We got to pull that sound button.
Okay, I will gladly do that.
Great scene.
But then also,
so the point is that even if they delete it, it's not going to matter.
Well, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very interesting update. More stuff to come, I'm sure. It'll be interesting to see if Frogan responds in the next couple of days. If not, it's a default judgment. And we may see an end to Frogan's lawsuit sooner rather than later. And I wonder what humiliation ritual Ethan is going to have her do. And that is going to be backed by the United States government. Ethan, if you want my advice, and not that you would, but if you could make her do an apology video. I shouldn't say this. You should make her do an apology video at a farm, eating out of a pig trough. Have her eating out of a pig trough going, Ethan, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Frogan eating out of a pig trough for the official apology. Ethan, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Have her eat right out of that fucking trough. Oh my God, that would be, oh man. Oh man, that would be the best content. Oh gosh, that would be the best content. He got Frogan to do an apology video on all fours eating out of a fucking pig trough. Oh, that would be so good. Somehow I don't think that's ultimately what's going to happen, but that would be so hilarious. That would be so unbelievably hilarious. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for supporting the channel, and I'll see you next time.